Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Got a number of interesting ones. It's been kind of a crazy week for me. I don't know if things have been really shifty for you, but I seem to be kind of smacked on the head by a lot of Emmys this week. Okay, orange alligators and sheep pigs, yes. Those recovered some time ago, as other people are saying. They are kind of old. So who's in? Shari D, JoJo's, Adamant. Nagrazadziel. One of these days I'm going to pronounce that right. Let's see. David Cook. Oh, not too many people in. It's kind of quiet today. All right, so maybe the image of the airplane wasn't the perfect one, or maybe nobody got the notice. Typical. Maybe I was going to put this one up, but this is Greenland, okay? Unfortunately, I couldn't find a long, skinny image of it because it is tall and the wrong shape. So the thumbnail's like the opposite orientation. So before we had Antarctica is half gone. Well, guess what? Greenland is like a third gone. So this is Greenland without the ice sheet. So this would be normal sea level. And everything that is blue would be underwater. This is assuming that the sea levels have not risen, because then it would be even more underwater. But interestingly, after I saw this, I looked at every other country I could think of that was near the North or South Pole. Canada, Russia, Alaska. I can't find any maps of those places without ice. Now, there are maps if saying all the ice in the world melted and then the sea levels rose, but I could not find any maps like this one this of Greenland and the one from Antarctica. So I don't know if there's some like hidden stuff that's going to come out and suddenly we will see maps of those without ice, but that stuff's not ready yet. Okay, so this one was actually found by somebody on a Reddit subreddit called reality-shifting, and the username is Google_Gmail. So good find, good find. That one's not a very well-known subreddit, and it's not super populated, but there's some good Emmys on there. This one was on there. So Greenland, I do remember them saying there was some kind of a big chasm under there. And I looked at it at that time, I think it was like a year ago maybe, and it was just this little bit. It wasn't like this giant thing here. And interestingly, when I was looking this up, I found a lot of these images, but I found maybe about 15% this image. So what is this image? Best I can tell from the chit-chatters, because a lot of the images didn't even have an explanation, but from this page, it looks to me like if they since this one is way up by the North Pole now. I mean, it used to be east of Canada, but now it's sliding, well, I guess over here for you guys, sliding up north, so it's almost touching the North Pole now. So since it's way north, because of map projections, they say there's a lot of distortion. So from what I can figure out, this is supposed to be image with less distortion, like if you were looking at it from the top. I don't really get what they mean by that, but that's what this is supposed to be. And I also don't understand why, see, there's this area has got land here, but over here it's open. So I don't know. I don't really get it, but this second image where it really does look half gone and more like Arctica is floating around. Not really explained very well, which I find very suspicious. Like one of the images is just somebody saying, "Ooh, I wish I had one of these maps to play in an RPG video game," but he doesn't explain what the map is. That's an example of what I mean by they're floating around, but you're like, "But what is it?" So it looks like Greenland might be like getting chewed away, just like Antarctica. And interestingly, because Greenland's been cruising north, so I don't know, is there like a giant hole in the North Pole or something? Because first it ate Arctica. Now Greenland's getting sucked up that way, and now it's disintegrating. I really wish I had been paying more attention to Arctica so I could have seen how it went out. I mean, I guess nobody really was. Did anybody ever see like Arctica before it disappeared. It like, you know, I'm trying to think. It was weirdly, I had this weird lack of interest in Arctica. And I don't know, maybe it just was boring, but I never saw it get smaller or anything. It was just gone, but I wasn't looking, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm really curious if Arctica went out like this. I'm just curious if anybody saw anything suspicious about Arctica in those years since, like, say, the last time you knew it was there to when you found out it was gone. Did it get smaller and smaller? Did it shrink apart like this from the inside out? I'm really curious now. Okay, so anyway, we go. Greenland is like a third to maybe a half gone, depending on what map you look at. Of course, they have this storyline that if the glaciers did melt, then the land would spring up like some kind of a compressed sponge and not actually be full of holes. But that's a whole new storyline too. So I don't know what to think about all that. Is Emmy covering its tracks or what? I don't know. Okay, let's see what you guys are up to here. Since there's not many people in, it should go faster. Weird shape. I thought Greenland was solid land. Well, so like underneath that, it's just below the sea level is basically what they're saying. There's land underneath here, but this is the sea level. So, I mean, at what point is it just ocean floor with islands is my point, you know. So once it gets this low, then it could be, you know, 10 feet underwater or 500 feet underwater. I don't know. They're saying there's a giant Grand Canyon in the middle of Greenland. But that's a lot more than just what I saw at first. So it's spreading out from the center. So yeah, there's land, but I mean, there's land underneath the ocean too. So, you know, that's a very vague statement. Very vague. Where will Santa Claus go? I don't know. There's still room on Canada, I think. He'll have to have like a floating island all to himself or something. All right, so $24.99. Wow, thank you, Russell Boyles. Appreciate that. I got to give a lot of credit to Reality Shifting for catching that one. I don't know if I think that's a she, checked into it after I was talking about the Antarctica one because it was a fairly recent post, but didn't get much, it didn't get posted on Retcon or anything, actually. All right, so next weird one. This is the thumbnail. So this is the Gloucester meteor plane. And what's interesting about this one is it's a World War II jet. And last I heard, there were a long time ago, 10 years ago, there was no jet airplanes in World War II. So maybe 3 years ago, there was one jet airplane in World War II, and the Nazis had it. Germany had it. And we'll get to that one, and I will cover that one. But when I was looking into that one again today, I see that the Allied forces now had one. I believe this is from the Brits. The British had this thing. So that thumbnail actually they used this for quite a number of years. So the thumbnail is not one that was actually in World War II, but you can see they're all pretty much the same. They've got this funky... Let me open this up a little. Now that's not helping at all. Let me find another image. It was kind of hard to get a decent image of these. View image. See, they're all tiny. I swear when something is new on the ME territory, it can be hard to find an image that'll open large. But they have this weird wheel at the front. Maybe this one will open up. Boink. There we go. They have this weird thing. And then the giant, these they're not under the wing, but they're in the wing. So anyways, weird. So the Allies now had jets. They did fly them in the war, which I say no. All right. I'm gonna cover more on some of the other weird planes in a bit, but this is another one here that was discovered by, on Reddit, again, retconned, user Suppenman, Suppenman, saw this one. The British flag has changed again, although it's a little more subtle. You don't have to see it close up to see it, though. Do you notice anything a little bit different about the British flag? Does anybody see it? There's got to be a bunch of British on here. So if you don't see it, then smack, smack, smack. Unless you're from this timeline, I don't know. Shari D, it's been a weird week with funny changes. There's just been, stuff just changes faster now. It just seems like stuff is more shifty. New ME for me is how close to Canada Greenland is. Burp, burp, burp. Let's take a quick peek on it. Yeah, I was out to the ocean more. It's been sliding around for, oh, you're right, it is. It is really close. Doink. That whole mess over there looks weird. It looks like it's made a big shift since last I looked even. See if I can find, maybe, we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to go to the hideous Google Earth. I'll give that some time to load. Launch Earth. That should be it launching here. All right, so who noticed what was different about the British flag? All right, I'm going to give you a hint. Let me see. Did anybody guess it at all? I've been waiting for more jet planes since I read about the German World War II jet. Yes, yes. Oh, Shari, you're a cheater because I think you saw it on Redcon, didn't you? Did you notice it just now or did you see it on Redcon? Human residents showing signs of life. Okay, so I kind of covered this one on Redcon when the person on Redcon noticed it. I found this. So Shari's probably already seen this quite possibly. But so what was the color before? Shari pegged it, and what a number of us remember is this blue color is not the color we remember. And weirdly enough, when I typed in the British flag a couple days ago, was it? I found this. And this is really interesting because it's like directions on how to create the British flag. So what's weird here is that you have this light blue, and this is supposed to be how you're creating the flag, but then it turns into this dark blue down here. So at some point in the current timeline, they switched from this light blue to this dark blue. But in my timeline, they stayed with the light blue. And you can kind of see it in the history here, because why would you go from here to here? So weird. And I have a whole bunch of anchor memories with this one, because I happen to really like one British pottery company called Denby. And about 2 years ago, I started collecting this old pottery, and these are older. They don't make this set anymore, but this is some of the teacups in the set. Interestingly, you can get these fairly cheap. I mean, this is, I would call this expensive here. But I was getting them on eBay. Let's see if I can get a bigger image. So I would just kind of stalk eBay all the time looking for cheap pieces that I wanted for my set. And it kind of gave me something to do for like 6 months, because the whole point was to not pay very much and get the best deal and have this whole set at the end. So I had to know like what color they were. And the color that they were advertised was British blue. And it was the same color as the flag. But if you look at the British flag now, that color is not that color. But it was. I have a bunch of these Denby. My cups have not changed. They're still the same color, and I'm a real color-oriented person too. So unless it changed only that much, I would notice. So my Denbys have not changed, and the flag has, so they no longer match. Interestingly, they used to call this color, Denby in their history called this color British blue. And it was almost the same as the one they make now, but the one they make now is just a little bit deeper, and it's called imperial blue. But they're very close. And so I looked up this British blue, and that color apparently doesn't exist anymore, because I used to type in British blue and I would get this color and maybe a few other listings. But if you typed in British blue, you'd get this color. But if you type in British now, let me do it now, and I'll see if I get the same thing as I did a few days ago. Boink, and I do. So now if you type in British blue, you'll get these cats. And I never got any cats before when I typed in the color. And now it's all cats. I don't think that this cat was here before or what. But I mean, like, I used to type in British blue and it was colors. It was not cats. Okay, so these cats look like Russian blue because they're blue cats. But I guess Britain has this cat called British blue. Weirdly, I'm really suspicious about these cats because I only remembered there being Russian blue, not British blue for cats. And I never got a giant pile of cats when I typed in the term British blue before. But yeah, now there is no color called British blue. There's a few paint companies that make one called British blue, but it is not. They're all different. None of them look like either the old timeline or the new timeline flag. In fact, the paints actually look a lot like these blue cats now. They're really gray. So I don't think that color exists anymore, which is weird. So yeah, no more. No more light colored. So it was like this color here. This was the color it was. Now my head spinning. All right, so I don't know if you British noticed it. There's almost nobody on here today, too. I mean, usually I have a bunch of British, but on my show, maybe you guys can chime in. I'm really curious how many, if any, of you guys see it. But it's obvious the blue is much darker as before. Need input, made a video about how the British flag changed, blah, 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 but not about the color. Yeah, you know, a lot of people did. I believe that it was Mandela Affected who did it first, but I wouldn't swear to it. A lot of people copied him and then also did additional videos. There's some Emmys that like 10 people have covered. I try not to recover ones that are already covered. At least try to credit the source. In my lifetime, I've only ever known the darker blue. Okay, so we have one UK person who only knows the darker blue. Huh, interesting. Sometimes I wonder if, like, whole countries shift together, and then that's why somebody in America is like, what? And then locals are like, oh, it was always that way. I wonder if shifting tends to be regional sometimes. There are 51 watching, but most people are lurking. Yeah, I wonder how many are like bots or something sometimes, though. All right, so, yeah, weird. Usually we do have more people talking. All right, so what are we looking at here? Zoom out. I don't even know where we are on the Earth right now. New Zealand. Oh, that's probably where I left off last time. Doesn't look like the top section is broken off yet. Working on it. No, it looks like, what is there? We're like 1 or 2 miles of land holding the top and bottom section. Looks like, all right, so We had a lot of shift lately. Has this section snipped off? Okay, so we only have, water comes all the way into here. It comes all the way through to here. So basically, this is the only section of land in between now. I think I did mileage last time. Let me just check it. I thought it was like a mile. Where's the mile thing on here? Voyager. Projects. This is it. Measure distance. All right, I'm going to plunge in a little further. Further. All right. Ho ho. Looks like this is all the way out to here now. So this comes around. It gets closer. It's like we're right about there now. All right, that peters out. I bet it goes to like here though, but we can't swear to that. So let's just say it's here to here. Yeah, see, it's all right. How many meters in a mile? Is that miles? No, meters. I think that's meters. I don't know how to make it stop. Make it stop. Miles. Is it meters or miles? Okay, 2.63 miles. All right, so yeah, it's about the same as last time then. Maybe even a little more, actually. I wonder if I went from there last time. Okay, so that one doesn't seem to have changed. Somehow I was thinking it would have. But no, it looks kind of different in there from what I remember, though. All right, let's go over to Greenland, the half-gone land. You know, I actually don't remember this giant lake right here either. What's that? I don't remember a lake humongous like that in the middle of Greenland. I mean, in the middle of New Zealand. What lake is that? Taupo. I bet you it was there, but a lot smaller. That is a big chunk of... All right. Let's not get distracted. Tasmania, ever larger. On the bottom there of Australia. The Great Australian Bight. B-I-G-H-T. That word has been making an appearance the last 3 to 5 years. B-I-G-H-T. I kind of forgot what it means already, besides it's some kind of ocean parts. I'm going to have to look it up again. All right, where are we here? Burp, 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 burp. All right, so how did I do that? There. You know what I hate is these new clouds. All right, I know I've complained about that before. All right, so what I remember is this section being kind of squished up tighter. It's like it's sagging apart. The Gulf here is like splitting it too. When I first started watching this, it did not have this finger. I watched that grow. And then this bulge here, and it's been bulging out here. So Canada is basically getting cleaved and split. This Greenland used to be over here and more out to the ocean, as people have said. And it's been slipping up and around. And North Pole now is just like right in here. It's like almost tickling the North Pole. So yeah, it's gotten lately really close to these islands up here. Really close. And I agree, it wasn't smashed up against this. I think that's that Elizabeth Islands. That is an Emmy in itself. That this big fat island thing was not there like 3 years ago. I even sketched this area and this was not in there. See if it's going to give the name. So it's really squished up. And in when I was looking at this 3 years ago, Greenland was nowhere near the Elizabethan. I'm trying to remember the name. Elizabeth something islands. It was nowhere near those. And also, it was like 3 islands kind of more mushed together. Now it looks like one more cohesive island. That's why I'm trying to look at what the name of it is now, because it was Elizabethan Islands, but now it looks like it's just one with weird rivers in it. Where's the names here? Voyager. Menu. It's not saying what those are. I'm not sure how to make it say. Oh, well. Maybe I'll just go here. Elizabeth Islands map. All right, so this is the official story, is it's all these. Okay, that's interesting. So when I first saw this, it was like these 3 or 4 mooshed islands here, but that is now one island, this thing. And now they're counting islands way out here. Queen Elizabeth Islands. There it is, Queen Elizabeth Islands. So it wasn't that many islands before. So this kind of project is sort of like sucking up a bunch of these islands. Yeah, see, this was a distance from this Baffin Bay business here in this thing. This thing has changed a lot too. It used to be just that and didn't have that attached. This part here was separate. Looks like it is now one. Let's go back to Google Earth and see. So these islands are like slithering. Yeah. See, now when I first drew this like three and some years ago, this little section here, this piece was not attached up here. Oh, check this out. And this was not attached like that either. So this is like filling in here. You can squeeze through here, but boy, it's a tight fit. Yeah, no, that's not the way it was. See, the shapes are sort of flipping me out. This has gotten bigger, too. This is a lot bigger than it was. Dang. I'm going to have to dig out my old images and see the difference. I did a freehand sketch a long time ago on that. It wasn't big like that. Okay, anyways, yes. I guess I'll just leave that one up. Might have to come back to it. British flag. Start here. The girl with pearl earring has changed too. I don't think I know that one. I just saw this one like a year ago. I'm not really familiar with, I don't know if it wasn't in my timeline or what. I saw this like a year ago and I did not know about it before that. Okay, so, yeah, can't make comments on that one. The red stripes definitely changed. The main issue with the Union Jack was something to do with the red stripes on the white crosses. Yeah, the red stripes used to be centered. They didn't have that thing where they were off center, and then they would know if you flew the flag backwards or anything. No, it was all symmetrical. That was the first ME that the flag was symmetrical. You should be a voice actor or actual actor. You know, I've heard people say that. I don't know. I guess I'm just sick of my own voice, because when I hear it, I just am not, I don't see it. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's not a hideous voice, but I just don't see it. The Whistler painting. All right, let's check this out. I didn't know that one either. Portrait of the Whistler's mother. I assume that's it. I've never seen this painting before. This is not anything I've ever seen. Make it larger. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. She was sitting on a rocking chair. Oh, I see. Okay, interesting. Doesn't look like a rocking chair anymore. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not a rocking chair. There it is. Yeah, see, that's a weird painting now. You've got these, it's all blurry right there. It's obviously a very thin, non-rocking chair. Her feet are up on this thing. The whole angle does not look normal. Look at how far her knees are. It doesn't look right. The whole proportions here. It makes it look like from her butt to her knee is all the way out here. I mean, look at how her legs are here to there, and then her... I don't know. It's wrong. The legs are like too wrong, and then the perspective is wrong here. This thing sits way higher than the back of these feet. So this thing would almost have to be, this little step stool would almost have to be, I don't know. It's just, the perspective is off. I don't know quite how to say it. It just looks wrong. Anyway, I don't actually know that painting, but I wonder if this is another one where old stuff that from our old timeline is being degraded. Does she still have the white shawl collar stole? Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know if it's the same one as you guys remember, but... And some kind of white thing in her hand there. I need to go back and look at all those paintings. All the paintings are always changing. I need to go, let's see. I think it's now extension of her hood. Oh, that a white thing. It looks like she has like a hat thing on, and then those that white thing comes out of the hat thing. It doesn't look like it's on her neck really. Although there does look like there's another white thing on her neck, but I kind of got the feeling that that was like a collar from the black, like the whatever that dress thing is. Like it looks like a white collar that comes down like that. The curtain in the painting was black and now it's stained. Her mouth is open. Is it? I can't really tell. View image. Let's see. It doesn't look like it's open though. No, it looks like it looks closed to me still. Yep. The painting is famous. I have never seen this painting before. It's the sort of thing that scares me the most when my own writing or drawings change. Fortunately, I don't have much of my old art. All right, so we got that. British flag. All right, let's go to my favorite Reddit site. I'm looking for a specific post here. I think it's in the second one. I should have pulled this one up in advance, but I didn't do it. Doom, doom, doom. Whoop. There it is. All right. So somebody on Redcon started another C3PO thread, and I'm glad that he did, because there's a number of things that other people have figured out that I didn't cover last week. One is that C3PO has a little knee antenna on one side. A lot of people don't remember this many accoutrements as he has now. I remember this middle and back, I don't know what you call those things, flexors or whatever, but I don't remember this one. A number of people didn't remember that one. I don't remember this third one here. This one seems useless. I thought these two were for, like, you know, it's sort of like your biceps and triceps kind of thing, but I don't know what this one was for. I didn't have it. Of course, the neck antennas, a lot of people don't remember the neck thing, all that. Okay, so, but what other things did we not cover? This one is an interesting one, and somebody else saw it on the thread, and it was, for a long time, the big ME was that his calf and his lower leg had turned silver. But now his knee is either wholly silver or partially silver. And depending on what image you look at, his knee was not part of the silver before. So the silver has spread up to the knee. Another super weird thing for me, I guess Shari D would think it's totally normal. A whole bunch of people showed up on Redcon, and they swear they have never seen his stomach open with wires. Now that trips me out, because I do remember a number of MEs about the wires, stomach being open more. Like right now, it's open more than I remember it. That the wires changed, they were bigger, they were this. But there was a bunch of people. I have seen so many threads on this, and never once did anyone ever say, I remember him having a closed stomach. No one ever said that. Well, this time, when this thread came up about C3PO, that's got to be the 30th or 50th thread I've ever seen on C3PO MEs, like numerous people swear that his stomach was never open, that it was like, you know, all the metal was closed shut. And that makes sense, because I used to always wonder, I'm like, what if it rains, you know, and you get all that rain in the electronics? You know, what if somebody just grabs a wire and yanks it out? It's definitely not very safe to have all your innards like exposed like that. But so it makes sense if that's how he was. But so it just seems like there's like this new shift of people, this new batch of people have suddenly shown up from the, you know, closed stomach C3PO timeline. So it just is tripping me out. It's just like all these timelines are coming together. So this batch of versions of people just showed up very recently. Now there are 5 screaming paintings before one. I covered that before. I thought that there were 3 painted ones and a couple pastels. They all look different than any of us remember. There's like numerous the thinker statues now. There's 2 to 3 Mona Lisas now. Everything's got a whole bunch of versions. Oh, they're talking about the girl in the pearl with the girl in the pearl earring with the mouth open. Okay, got it. I saw the real Whistler in Abu Dhabi, Louvre Museum. I was surprised how huge it was. Now I can't find a single picture I took from there. The photos are gone. Huh, that's weird because you'd think you just find them, but that would be the current version. Have you ever seen, have you never seen the Whistler's Mother's painting? No, I have never seen it. There's a lot of stuff in the last year or two. It's gotten really common that it kind of bugs me because I just can't know for sure sometimes, but um that they're like the iconic image of this and the iconic image of that, and I have never seen that stuff before ever. And they're saying that everybody knows about blah blah blah. I'm like, no. And like 10 years ago when they said iconic image, I mean 99.9% of the time I will have seen it, be somewhat familiar with it. I may not know every detail, but it definitely is something I knew about. And so it's just flipping me out now that there's so much stuff. I'm like, no, I've never heard of that. The medical, I used to have heard of almost every ailment I knew something about. Now there's so many. I'm like, making me crazy. I really had to let go of, being the person who knew stuff, because now I'm the person who's constantly not knowing stuff. I was an art major, useless I know, but we had to know a bunch of paintings and sculptures. Yeah, there's another art major that he was flipping out over the Thinker and a couple other ones years ago and the changes that were on those. Useful for ME changes I was going to experience 20 years later. Yeah, I know all that. Like, I just laugh because there's all this evolution that we learned in morphology of the cranial structure for archaeology classes, and all this mapping of the brain for psychology classes. That's all never existed now. I mean, talking about useless, it's only useful for the ME, exactly. I had over 1,000 slides of my trips to Germany that went poof. No one knows where they have gone. I still have the projector, but now none of the slide reels. Huh. Jojo. Maybe they'll show up and they'll be all full of stuff that you never saw before. Yeah, see, Shari Virgin does not remember the stomach being open. I know it was open in my timeline, but yeah, there's a lot of people suddenly don't remember that. The Whistler is like American Gothic famous. Yeah, see, it's stuff like this that makes me crazy. I used to know all the famous paintings. I mean, maybe I didn't know what year they were done in. I may not know all the symbology, but I'd seen them because they're just, in media so much, you just can't, click around. And even on the internet, you see American Gothic all the time, even on the internet. Even if you don't know anything about it, you know what it looks like and the name of it. And I haven't, that pearl earring woman and the Whistler, the pearl earring woman I saw maybe 6 months ago. I never seen that Whistler before. And that's what happens is like it'll start showing up and I'll see something like 10, 15, 20 times in a short period. I'm like, why do I keep seeing this image? Because I'm like, is this some new famous? Is it new? I always think it must be new. That's why I'm seeing it all the time. But no. Another thing that some people pointed out is that C-3PO in some of the images has this little divot out of his front right here. See, there's right where this cursor is, there's a divot. And then I looked and I can't find that divot in any images, but a lot of images, it's like when you're looking for something, suddenly you can't find hardly any pictures of the thing you're looking for. Like I'll see pictures of him from here up, or he'll be turned and I can't see that side, or something. Anyways, this whole chest plate looks different for me though. I don't remember all these divisions. It didn't look like Roman armor to me. It was just kind of a solid, non-ornamented. I do remember a little bit of a circle thing here, but it's like way more fancy. And then it's got this extra trimmings around the side and on the bottom. It didn't have all that. It's kind of pooched out right there. I don't remember that. I don't remember these things here, and I don't remember these slanting around pants-looking things. All right, let me go back there. I probably skipped some stuff that other people remembered. Let's see. What did other people... the golden idol has a golden calf. Yeah. What's that dot on the left of his forehead? Oh, yeah, that is weird. Another thing was a couple of you mentioned last time that one of the headshots I had of him he had a big dent in it. Now, I thought that was from some kind of cosplay, but it turns out that in this timeline, he did have a giant dent in his head for a while. I believe that was the first movie made. He got a giant dent, and then they fixed him in time for the awards ceremony at the end. But I don't remember him ever having a giant dent in the head at all, even fixed later. Excuse me. Okay, people talking about the hydraulics. I think I've covered everything. There's everybody flipping out over the open stomach. All right, I think that was everything I saw. All right, so there's more C3PO stuff. Actually, weirdly, the thing that flips me out the most is so many people suddenly not remembering the open wires. So many people don't remember the rounded round. Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking that the other day. I don't remember them looking like cans, for starters. They look like giant cans. I don't remember this like square thing. He had something that was more knee-like. I also don't remember this piston thing here. It wasn't nearly as sophisticated looking as this. I don't even remember if that was there last time I looked at this, actually. This piece here. This one I remember. So, yeah, I agree with you on the legs. See, and they're all this fancy trim work here with the lines, and it's looking more and more kind of Roman style fancy with the, like, this is all like, all this trim work. I just don't remember any of that. This is kind of bulging out here. There's the little divot. Okay, there's the dent in the head, although the one that I saw the other day had a lot more. I don't see the circle thing here. I don't remember that. I don't remember there being a like bolt right there. I do remember one in the back of his head, but it's smaller. Okay, so anyway, you get the idea. All right, next one. All right, think in your head with the... Where and how was the general shape of the Great Wall of China? Like, where in China was it? Unless you've seen this the last year or so. I think it's been brewing for the last year, but the Great Wall of China. Think of that. I'm going to be mad if it doesn't show it like I remember. All right, here we go. This is kind of it. All right, so the Great Wall of China is kind of confusing now. there's like repeats and it's all over the place. It looks more like a subway map than a wall. So there's like little bits going over here and then there and blah, blah, blah. And then there's a bunch of old walls and new walls. And so it's not really like the wall. I remember it being more towards the middle of the country, and it was one wall. It was not repeats, and there were no circle parts, and it was to wall off invading hordes, and that was it. So they had one wall. It did wind a little bit, but it wasn't like this. It was nothing like this. This is just totally insanity. What is this? Just no. That is so wrong. So then if you think that's crazy, they had a bunch of walls. Every map looks sort of different. So they had older walls and newer walls. See if I can get one to get big enough. This is really not helping. See if I can find one that'll show all the walls. Like, why are they all small? It's weird because some days I'll get on here and all of them will be big. Maybe I have to do that and then see it. Nope, that doesn't fix it either. Really can't be that hard, can it be? Sometimes the Emmy just does not want me to see something. Well, anyway, there's like a whole bunch of there's like a whole bunch of lines everywhere on these. I don't know why you'd even call it the Wall of China, because it should be the walls of China now. There's old walls, new walls, decrepit walls. They're all over the place. I don't know why you would build so many different sets of walls. Like, wouldn't you just like shore up the same one over and over again? Come on, you can do it. Open. No. Let's see what's down here. All right. That's the one we already had, so that's not useful. Here, maybe this one. Okay, so the red, the pink is the wall during Ming Dynasty. And then these other lines are the wall during previous dynasties. This is big enough, I can make it big. Dong. Okay, so this is the Ming Dynasty wall, which looks somewhat like... Okay, so you've got this coming. Suddenly it stops there, it jumps over there, then it goes over here, and then there's a piece over here, and there's a big loop. This goes there. How is this stopping the ravaging hordes? And then these are all the old walls. There was not a whole million piles of walls before. What is the even point of these? Why wouldn't you just like shore up one wall? Ugh, makes me crazy. Okay. See if I can find this. Google is not helping me here. So basically, even though I've typed it in word for word, it is not giving me the Reddit for this. Huh, that's interesting. So basically, there was a Reddit post. It's weird, I can't find it now. Let me just, it might be old enough that I can't find it. No. There, found it. Ah. Okay, so there's the map. Okay, so there was like kind of the map I was looking at it. How people imagine it, and you see, you know, a nice wall here, as people generally remember it. But according to this post, most of the wall is all like rubble piles and clay and just like garbage. And I'm thinking maybe that this is some of that other wall business that's like up here, but I couldn't really figure out what's up. I mean, I've definitely read that other parts of the Great Wall are not in as good a shape as you might think, but what part of the wall, what eras are they even talking about? I don't know, but I've never seen any this bad that looked like crap like that. Not sure what to make of that. It seems to me like they're saying that only sections of the Great Wall of China are any good and the rest is crap. So I think this is another example of the old monuments sort of disintegrating, the stuff from our timeline. You've got other walls growing up in other countries, and the Great Wall of China can no longer be seen from space, and it's like kind of a piece of crap now. And it's walls of China. It's so hard to walk up and down the walls of China before just wondering if it has changed. Yeah, well, apparently it's rubble piles. Now, it's not really clear where those rubble piles were, if it was on the more recent wall from Ming or the old walls. I mean, you were there. Do you remember anything about old walls and rubble piles? The Great Wall of China used to completely surround Mongolia, kind of to separate them from China. Yeah, I remember something like that. It was up more at the top, right around Mongolia. But Mongolia used to be part of China back then. So I guess if it was still there now, it would be right on the border. Oh, you guys have been chatting. Okay. Stomach was open a little for me, but not that much. C-3PO, I'm sure. All right, somebody's talking about a TV show I know nothing about, so I'm just going to skip all that. Great Wall, northern China through Beijing, and separated into several sections. Yeah, I do remember somewhat in disrepair, but not like rubble piles. And I don't remember it being separate sections. It's just some sections were in better shape than others. Only one wall for me back 30 years ago. Yeah, exactly. One wall. Now it looks like, I swear it looks like a subway system. I don't remember Mongolia that close to the sea coast. Shoinks. Mongolia. Darn it. How do you put the No. I'm trying to figure out how to, now how do you get rid of that? Unvoyage. There. Dun, dun. Map style. Maybe that's what we want. All borders. Let's do that. Put my borders on there. How come I'm not seeing all the borders? What is it, like the world's tiniest, like impossible to see borders? Look, I asked for all borders and it's on there, but you have to have a magnifying glass. Are you serious? Are you serious? Settings. It's like, you're not going to notice the borders change if you can't really see them. I can't believe they don't have a map style where you can really see the borders. Borders, labels, places, and roads. All right. No, that's not really helping. It's really not on our side right now. This is the borders. You can't even see them. God, really not liking Google Earth and maps lately. Are you serious? Look at that. So Mongolia, like through here, you guys could probably barely see it. If I go back, you're really not going to see it. So yeah, right in there. Who can tell where China ended? That's terrible. Google Earth, it's pissing me off. All right. I can't believe that is supposed to be their borders lines. You can't see those. Ugh. Not liking the new Google Earth. I thought they did works projects for restoring parts of the wall over the years. Yeah, I mean, there were parts where the bricks were falling down and stuff, but it wasn't rubble piles. But see, I'm confused because now there's all these old walls and new walls, and they're all over the place. So what section are we even seeing? There's not one wall anymore. There's like 50 walls. It's got to be the Great Walls of China. There's no way you can say there's one. Even the one from Ming has got sections split, and it's got circles in it, and total helter skelter. That's my new favorite word lately. Look at the size of Corsica and Sardinia. Yeah, that's actually kind of an old ME for me. Don't show those stupid clouds. I hate the clouds. All right, where are we? Europe is so tiny. All right. Burp, 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 burp. So this was like a third the size for me. I'm not going to have any names. Is this even English? Of course. Sardinia. All right, so this one has grown by about 2/3. Sicily. These were super tiny, way smaller than this one. So it's weird to see this one bigger than this one. These were just like little dots. They weren't really... They have grown a lot since last I looked, I have to admit. You got a good call on that. It's an old ME for me, but they really cranking on these two islands. They were definitely way smaller than Sicily. Way smaller. Sicily's grown a lot, but these are like overtaking it. That is interesting. These were more like the size of these islands over here. I don't even know what these islands are. I don't remember there really being any majorly visible islands. What are these islands here? Look at how it doesn't really label stuff worth a dang either. All right, I'm going to go all in on map style and get everything. See, I click everything. I don't see any new stuff. I click everything. There's no more info on there. What are these called? Is this okay? Oh, is that Ibiza? Is that what I keep hearing about lately? I don't know what this is. Mahone, never heard of that. These are the sizes that I remember. See, it's kind of confusing because I think Europe has really shrunk. So maybe part of it is just that all these other countries are really tiny. So these little islands look bigger. So that's one of the things that really confuses me about these. I mean, Europe used to be, I mean, it was at least the size of the United States, but a little bigger than that. And it's so tiny now. And Africa has gotten huge. Anyway, all right. So let's get on with it. Get on with it. All right, I found this one the other day and it made me very happy. I have mentioned this before, but I didn't get the significance. I stumbled into this map. Flag. That would be the word I'm looking for. Ta-da! This flag makes me very happy. I posted this on Redcon. I've had it up here. I think I found this flag by mistake before. Can I please have a big one? Guess not. This is my flag for many years. Most of my life until maybe 5 years ago. 48 stars. The stars were bigger and they were lined up perfectly. So apparently we did have this flag, but in my timeline, it was gone before I was born. I mean, in the current timeline, it was gone before I was born. In my timeline, we kept it. We had it. So basically, this was the flag before they added 2 more states to the current 50 states. So it makes sense. They line up all beautiful. It actually makes sense that in some timelines they said, oh, we ain't changing the flag. Because look, all the stars line up perfectly. When they had to stick those other 2 in, then they had to split it. Excuse me. To the current flag. And they had to make the stars smaller. Boy, there's some yucky looking maps on here. So they had to move it to this one with the staggered stars, and then they had to make the stars smaller. This is the flag I had for most of my life, though, right here. The white underneath. A few people said they remember this flag, but with the red underneath. I've definitely flipped through a few timelines. This is flipped back and forth, whether there's red or white underneath the blue. But I was very happy to see this flag because that's my old flag. And it's very rare to find some ME thing that was lost. So in my timeline, they stuck with this flag. They never added the last 2 stars. They just decided, no, we can't change the flag every time some new state shows up. We're just going to stick with this nice, even, Steven, balanced pile of stars. Now we have that one. So yeah, I agree with you, Silver E55, you're right. Corsica and Sardinia are even bigger. We've been talking about that for years now, but they're really cranking on the size of those. Like Kazakhstan, it's inflating at an amazing rate. Why is my Google Earth different? You know, that's the website one. Maybe if I do the program off my computer, it wouldn't look like that. But they recently changed the Google Earth, so I don't like the new version for a whole bunch of reasons, which you have heard me complain on here. I used to love learning about all these places and geography. It was my way of dreaming of vacations, but now often it is a shocking moment. Yeah, I know. It's like, why even bother learning it all? Okay. Now where am I? I'm gonna. This one's weird. I'm gonna save it till last because that is a trippy trip. Okay. All right. This one is another personal one. I don't know how many people will recognize this one. There's already the Emmy that Aldi's is now Aldi, and Aldi is a grocery store. So as you can see, it's Aldi now. Images. A lot of people remembered Aldi's. At least that was an Emmy that was going around about a year ago. That people remembered Aldi's. Now, I wasn't as strong on that one. I really thought it was Aldi's, but I couldn't say for sure because in my timeline, around a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, Aldi's had just come to California because they had just come to the USA. They were a German grocery store, and the brag was that California was the lucky state where Aldi's was going to introduce stores and break into California market first. It made sense because, you know, California kind of likes certain things, and they have more specialty grocery stores that do well, like Trader Joe's. So it made sense. And I'm like, score. And even more score when I actually went there, and they do have stuff I like the smoked salmon. So apparently, though, now they have been in United States since 1976 in Illinois. Their home base is in Illinois. And I'm flipping out because I know they announced that they were just coming to the USA. Why are they even called a German store and their home base is in Illinois and they're owned by the same family as Trader Joe's, which is all kind of a new storyline for me that I don't get how they're a German company then. I don't know. The whole thing flipping me out. So there's another thing. I'm like, I know it was the hot deal that California was getting Aldi first. And now it isn't. You know, I was suspicious about how quickly they sprang up around here because this happened after I knew about the ME. And I'm like, dang, there's an Aldi on every corner. Aren't they going to open a few and see how they do first? I don't know. I guess the timelines had to catch up or something. Okay. Let me see if I've credited everybody on those. Okay, I don't think I've missed anybody. The retcon thread, I should have. You could see who posted what. I didn't come up with any of that stuff. It was all those different people on Reddit. So they get the brownie points on that one. All right, let's do this one. All right, so Shari D came up with some of these. She basically cued me in. And this website is one that I found while looking at one of her websites about a bunch of tech earlier in time. Doom, doom. Are we going to load today? Let me get some water. There we go. Yum. All right, so some of these aren't as big a deal, but I think this one here. Automobile navigator had a tempo that set with the speed of the car. I've covered that one in the past. Oh, this one was interesting. Western Electric is crossing a telephone with a TV set. And when was that? Some ridiculous time ago. Picture phone debuted in the 1964 World's Fair. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, I guess the basically Skype style things. Old news in the current timeline. All right, then they had a prototype of this, which was kind of similar. I mean, really, I mean, you don't even have a proper handset hardly, and then you got video. Weird business. All right, Victorian submarines. They look like a giant cigar for real. When Jules Verne wrote about his submersible ship Nautilus and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, there had, in fact, already been several very successful submarines built in the Victorian era, and Verne, who kept a very well informed on the world of engineering, was clearly aware of these. Yeah, no, I think that was the whole point of why that story was supposed to be so iconic, because he predicted something. But in this timeline, it was already there. The roller ships pictured at Ferry Bay, Baltimore, 1858, built by American inventor Ross Winans. All right, so we already had subs way back then. There was an early Kindle and ebooks. So basically, they printed it like super, super, super tiny. And then the Fisk reading machine, and then it would like get blown up so you could see it, so you could have a whole book on this super tiny thing. So basically, it's what's that book reading Kindle? It's an early Kindle. Yeah, e-reader basically. All right, ATM machines. When did those come out? I remember maybe 80s. And apparently, supposedly, they had one in 1967, but only only prostitutes were using it, so they canceled it. That was weird. Early Nintendo Wii. You can do fishing. All right, that I could see being doable. This one flipped me out. This one was weird. So, 1908, supposedly this guy made these mini cameras. See if I can get. And he mounted them on these pigeons, and then these mini cameras had timer on them so that it would take pictures randomly. Now, there's a bunch of things. There's two major things wrong with this for me. Number one, there was no cameras that tiny. There is no way that there were cameras that tiny in that time. Number two, there is no way that a bird would have been able to carry that much crap on its body. These can't be that lightweight. They're not made out of tissue. That they would carry it. They would put up with all this crap and carry it and be able to fly and do their business. This just looks like it's been photoshopped on. It is just a trip. I probably should have I should have made this the thumbnail. I forgot about this image. I think I was thinking of making this the thumbnail last week, but I forgot. That looks so stupid. It just looks so fake. Even now, maybe they did Photoshop that. I don't know, but it just looks wrong. It just is. I mean, is that even supposed to be a real picture? So look, there he is with his little cameras that he's going to put on his little pigeon. There are some of the photos he took. So the storyline is that airplanes were starting to take off. So then his pigeon video, his pigeon photography just wasn't that popular. That one flips me out. There's no way pigeons are carrying that crap. All right, there's a little record player in your car. When was that? Yes, that's Muhammad Ali playing vinyl records in his car stereo. Doesn't say when, though. That's kind of irritating. A young Muhammad Ali era. All right. 1950s flat screen television. Yeah, no way. There is no way we had flat screen in 1950s. And it's pretty darn flat. Okay, it does sit on this big thing, but thin tube foretells wall TV and sky view for air pilot. Yeah, no. Subscription TV. You could apparently pay to get special programming. This is actually weird too. Television glasses invented in 1963, looking just about as silly as Google glasses. There's no way they had tech that you could have a tiny TV like that. That's crazy. There's no way. TVs were huge. Radio delivered newspaper, 1938. There was one where oh, no, that wasn't it. They would put coins into the TV to get special programming too. I mean, some of those I guess I might not have known about it, but they're very suspicious. A track, okay, but records, yeah, 8-track. You probably remember 8-track, but yeah, no, apparently we had records. Was Macintosh Apple always Macintosh? No, it was Macintosh. It looks like stuffed birds posing. Yeah, I know. But that supposedly there's an image of him with his bird and his ATM machines came out in the 80s. Yeah, supposedly now it's late 60s. Actually, never remember seeing an Aldi's till last year. Yeah. Aldi is definitely a German company. I lost myself for almost 6 months trying to figure out how the people here and other places is the only thing that helped me get through it. Yeah, I know. It's so hard because you can't talk to, anybody around you. They just think you're crazy. And, I meet up with people and they're like, hey, what's up? And I have to say, not much. I'm like, oh, Australia grew a new island. There's a giant lake where it never was. Salton Sea is it doubled in size. And off ramp has migrated 3 miles south. You can't say all that. It's just like, but that's in my mind. That's all I want to talk about for the longest time. I didn't want to talk about the next yummy restaurant that just moved into town. The fishes that walk on land, mud skippers now mate, dance, and fight outside water. Very weird. Yeah, we've done a lot on the mud skippers and the walking fishes. There was one on like 3 weeks ago. The picture, the one that's on the screen, is actually my local Aldi. That's funny. Yeah, it was Aldi's. I do remember it being Aldi's, but they'd only just come here, so it just wasn't as strong in my mind. Okay. All right, I think this was another one. I looked these up like a week ago, and I'm on demand TV circa 1953. Oh, here's the coin deposit one I was remembering. Just deposit coins in slot. This one's from Shari D. She linked this one. Okay, so this is like the early cable. You'd you'd put these coins in the slot, and it was coin operated extra programming. Telemeter TV box, and one of the early attempts at bringing pay-per-view a la carte TV to American homes in the 1950s. They had pay-per-view in the 1950s by sticking coins in a slot. All right. Oh, this is a weird anatomy one. We've talked a lot about reproductive changes. So apparently, all right, so this is like normal versus not normal uterus. So they have this thing called bicornate or septate uterus. So this is a normal one, but they're having like a split along here. And so it looks like bicorn, like two horns, which is kind of creepy. And septate, there's some kind of slight difference between. I think the septate one has like this is like a bicornate, and if it's septate, then it'll have more division. Is kind of the impression I got. I'm really thinking that what we're getting here is that there's going to be like two uteruses here. It's going to be split. I mean, why did you need to have two sides donating the eggs? They supposedly, in my old timeline, they would take turns, you know. But you don't really need that. This one can do the job. So I'm wondering if we're going to have a split. So I think this might be stage 1 of the split, or stage 2, where we're going to have people who, they're already talking a lot about, you can have 2 different fetuses of different ages in there. So you can have like you can give birth to one, and then 2 weeks later, or a month or 2 months later, you can get birth to another one. They don't even have to be from the same father. All this stuff. I mean, it just wasn't a thing before. So now we're getting the split. And this is weird because depending on where you look, I've seen the lowest estimate I've seen for how many women have this is 0.5%. So that'd be 1 in 200. But the highest estimate was 5 to 7% of women have this bicornate uterus. And that's a lot. And some places were even saying that it might even just be like a normal variant of the uterus shape. I have never heard of this before, and some places are saying it's a normal variant. Flipping me out with that septate uterus, bicornate, 2-horned. You know, and the implications of the choice of words, you gotta wonder. Okay. All right, speaking of the implication of the choice of words, so we've talked about the Statue of Liberty history before. All right, so the current storyline is that originally the inventor of the Statue of Liberty went to Egypt, and he was inspired by Egypt, and he came up with the whole idea of the Statue of Liberty there. And then he wanted to put the Statue of Liberty to commemorate the Suez Canal, and that just didn't come to pass. So later he shopped it around and then altered it just a tad, the concept, in order to try to get America to want it. And then he actually did a bunch of fundraising to get the money, and he did fundraising in France and the USA, and somehow he got all the funds. Even though it was an unpopular project and nobody wanted to donate, he still got all the funds. So it no longer was that France donated it. It was just this guy and his fundraising that built it. And so they're basically saying that she was modeled after the slaves in Egypt. And so what did they call the slaves in Egypt? They called him fellah, Fellah, or Arab peasant. So supposedly the Statue of Liberty dress is one of a fellah. I just think I've never heard of that word. I think it's very suspicious because we've been talking about her looking like a guy. The other thing I noticed is her foot stepped off even more than before. I'm wondering if she's going to be standing on one foot soon. See if I can find a nice side view. I mean, that foot's barely touching the ground now. The other thing I would say is this giant fold here. Let's see if I can make this large enough. This fold is new for me just recently. This giant big fat fold. It looks ugly. It's not. It used to be a beautiful drape that was sort of like Roman style, but it really is looking more kind of peasanty and meh. And this giant fat drape here is new for me. You can see it around the front too. Her foot, she's sashaying forward by quite a bit right now. That this foot, I'm just curious where that's all going to go. Sometimes I see it starting. I'm like, what are we going to end up with? She's a lot thicker than she used to be. Slowly losing a lot of the elegance. Again, see this giant fold again. Last time I checked, I don't remember this giant fold. It's a little bit hard to see from this side, but if you look at it a little bit from that side, you can see it. I also would say that I think that her arm has flopped down some with holding this tablet. It looks like her arm is kind of sagged. Like it used to be more here, and now it's like this thing looks heavy now the way. She used to kind of hold it up, but now it's like, you know, when you've been walking a long time and your arms aren't holding stuff up high anymore. That's what it looks like to me. So I would say that's a change for me. Side view. So she really kind of looks like she's sticking out her stomach now with this walking pattern. There's just something different about it. All right, see here, you can a little bit more of a side view. You can totally see that fold. So basically, she's a slave fellah in this timeline. That was a Muslim woman originally, which is just not what it was at all. That view looks so strange. I think I've brought this one up before, but the face, it looks kind of masculine now, but if you look at it, just the face. So this supposedly is the face of the Statue of Liberty before they assembled it. And that, I don't know, it's just miserable looking face. It used to be a nice looking woman, kind of a Roman look. Now it looks kind of like it's flat faced, it's pouty, it looks unhappy. That was not the face before. All right, so anyways, one other thing that I noticed when I was doing that, I used to get this magazine. It was called the Smithsonian. So I'm going to type in magazine. And when I was looking up one of these things on this trip, I think it was the Statue of Liberty. I looked it up, and I was subscribed to the Smithsonian magazine. In this timeline, it has always been Smithsonian. It has never been the Smithsonian. Ugh, that's tiny, but I went back and looked at like the 1970s, and that was before I was subscribed to it. And it has always been Smithsonian in this timeline. There's no the Smithsonian magazine. It was Smithsonian. So I call Emmy on that. Okay, this is another thing that flipped me out. All right, so there's this coronavirus thing going around. Is it going to escape the containment field? If it does, how bad will it be? All these questions. So I've been pretty much trying to say I'm going to go to the timeline where it's not a big, horrible thing. That's my plan, okay? I mean, I don't know if I have anything to say, but if I do, I'm picking the timeline where things are better. All right, so what day was that? Monday. Monday was just one of those kind of crap days, you know, when just stuff goes wrong. I go into work, and the overhead light bulbs burn out. My assistant's complaining about everything, little and big, and then a couple customers were unhappy about stupid stuff, and then I was sort of in a mood already, and then Etsy made these changes that a whole bunch of us hate. So I was like, okay, it had to do with shipping. So I'm like, I'm going to find an alternate shipping method. And then I find one. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try these guys. I try to ship with them. My computer immediately crashes. And then I couldn't get it to boot again. It kept sticking at the welcome section before it gets to the desktop. It would just get stuck. And then I'm trying all these things to make it boot. And then I went up to the other computer, and I just happened to see on yahoo.com that they were talking about the coronavirus, that San Francisco had declared a state of emergency because of all these corona cases were spreading in San Francisco. And I was surprised because I'm like, I did not know that corona got into San Francisco nor spread in San Francisco. So I read some of it. And they were saying that, this guy had infected these guys, and then these guys had infected these guys in San Francisco. So I'm thinking, oh, crap, San Francisco's in California, and it's spreading, and it was like it's not some other country now. And I'm like, I better, think about getting online and maybe getting some of those face masks just to be on the safe side. Because I use those face masks in work also when we do sanding and stuff. They're not just for germs. So I'm like, well, I can write them off. I'll use them sooner or later. I go into thinking about doing that as soon as I get home. And I spend like hours more trying to fix the computer. It won't get fixed. It won't boot. I go home. I'm all tired. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, I'm going to check on the San Francisco situation and see where we're at. And so I look over there, and I'm like, first I go to yahoo.com news, and I don't see anything about coronavirus or COVID-19. I'm, well, that's weird. You'd think they'd keep us updated on what was going on in San Francisco. So I type in San Francisco in the Google, and apparently suddenly now San Francisco declared a state of emergency for no particular reason. Their reasoning now is that they only had 3 cases of corona, and they were all people who had been out of country and then had been quarantined before they could go into the populace, and they were no escaped coronavirus, and none of that other stuff I read 3 hours ago was real, apparently. And I couldn't find anything on Yahoo, no retractions, nothing. It was gone. Like that whole storyline of the escaped coronavirus from San Francisco was gone. And weirdly, San Francisco now is claiming, last I checked, and that night, that they decided to declare an emergency to be proactive in case they had an emergency. But they don't have one, but they could. So we're going to declare an emergency now to speed things along to be ready for an emergency. And that's their, I'm like, there's a million cities in the United States, and San Francisco just happened to declare an emergency for no particular reason because Chinese might come to San Francisco. It's the weirdest thing. So I don't know if I jumped timelines and I was in like the crap toad timeline on Monday when the computer wouldn't work and all this other stuff, or because I was in a bad mood. So anyway, that was just weird. So it's just been one of those weeks where I'm like, ah. I got some people caught on JFK seat rows, but I was lucky half my family still remembers the way things were even some Bible verses, but most everyone else don't, and they freeze or freak out. The thumb is like way far down. Yeah, it's a huge thing now. I do think the hand looks a lot better like that. That's one of the new timeline changes that doesn't bug me for some reason. It just looks good. Most of them, like I kind of wish I could see the old way, but the thumb all squished in there. No, I don't miss that for some reason. JFK assassination only had 4. Yep, all old MEs. School and college all said any and all people were the same, but physical anomalies were genetically rare cases, not part of the norm. Yeah, that's not really the case now. There's so much variation in those sesamoid bones, extra little pebble bones in the hands. It's different for everybody. Some shifts ago, it was the government who paid for the Statue of Liberty. Anybody remember this? That was my old timeline a long time ago. We were told that France gave the statue to America. And weirdly, a lot of websites do still say that. But nope. No change in the Suez Canal history, geography. You know, I just didn't know it that well. That's why I really haven't looked, because I don't know what I would see. I mean, I definitely feel the geography itself has changed, but I really didn't study the history that much. Oliver Henry, she's a fellow wearing a fellah. Yeah, see, that's why I'm like, this whole fellah thing that she was wearing slave clothes, that is pretty new for me, because I've looked at the Statue of Liberty history a bunch of times, and I look at it on multiple websites, and I never saw that, and then boom, there it is. So yeah, it's really suspicious. She's pregnant. Yeah, she's just way wider now. She's very matronly in this timeline. She was more elegant before. I mean, the robes are kind of piled in a non-elegant way. David Cook agrees the tablet's lower. Her robe was more elegant before. Yeah, now it's like kind of piled. It's just not. Panama Canal was a shocker for STS Aquatic. Yep, a lot of people. Which way is she facing? Oh, the whole thing has shifted around so much. I'm not even sure on that one how it was before. Let's see. When you want an image of something, you can't find it. We don't want that though. Just try plain old. All right. See, she's out on that island in the middle of the water, so which way was she facing? I'm not even sure that myself. I do feel, if you know that insurance company, there's an insurance company commercial where a guy stands in front of a railing, and in the background is the Statue of Liberty. I do feel that statue location has shifted around, but I'm just not sure how it is in relation to everything, and I don't know where the cameras were set. One thing I really feel about the statue is this one really brings it home here. This whole pile under her, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and she gets smaller. So first it was the star thing, and then there was a little pedestal, and then the pedestal got bigger, and then there's a star thing, and 2 levels, and then more pedestal. So if you look at this now, and it says this in the histories, that this whole mess cost more than she did. And it makes sense, because in my old timeline, she was really big, a lot taller, and this whole mess was just like, basically she had the star thing, and she was basically almost just on top of the star thing. But now this is huge. This whole bottom bit, the star thing is bigger. It got taller, and it's got all these other levels, and it's bananaramas. Even like 6 months ago, this mess was not nearly that size. And just this week, I noticed apparently, I don't know what these cutouts are. I've never seen these before until this last week, these cutouts. I thought that they might be doors. Also, this white thing here, I think those are some kind of facade in front of doors. I have not seen these white things before, but I've definitely not seen these cutouts here. That's different. So, yeah. All right, so you tell me, is she facing the same way as before? I don't know. I don't know. Sadly, I did not really know that, and I've never actually physically been there, so can't help too much on that one. She looks more like Elvis. She does look like Elvis. You're right. That's it. Elvis. Elvis. I'm stealing that. Sorry, I hope I remember. She does look Olmec too. I agree with you on that one. She's an Olmec Elvis. It rhymes good. Elvis Olmec. Shari and Aurora Rain, did you come up with that independently? That she looks like Elvis? Because you both typed it almost at the same time. Or was Aurora just copying it from Shari? Because that's funny. Didn't know Liberty Island before. Yeah, no. You know, I know this guy. He even said he visited the Statue of Liberty on Ellis Island. And then he looked really confused when I said it's not on Ellis Island. He's like, it's the Olmec Elvis. Oh, yeah, it's no longer the Smithsonian Institute, it's the institution. Yeah, I agree. That's an older ME, but I do agree with it. Yeah, it was the Smithsonian Institute, 100%. There's so many little changes like that. Australia initiated a response plan for Corona Stage 1 today. Yeah, I'm still trying not to worry about it because I just think there's so many things that could happen. It could mutate and then be only a few people get the nasty form. We could find out that most people who get it don't get that sick, but that the only the ones that got really sick went to the hospital, so the death rate's way lower. There's so many things that no matter how bad it looks can still happen. So just keep that in mind. Why do I remember the Smithsonian logo bot having all the squiggly stuff? I'm not sure what that sentence means. They reckon economy in Oz is going to fall dramatically. Okay, let's just see what's going on. Virus, Australia. All right, they have a plan. But how much virus do they have? See, that's another thing, that the virus can infect animals. So they were saying, like, if you have the coronavirus, don't handle your pets. Let the other family members handle the pets because they could all get it, or they think they might be able to get it, or whatever. It used to not be a thing that you really had to worry much about many viruses getting on your pets. I need to go somewhere where I don't have to pay money. Brazil reports first case. 200 Australians flown home. All right, that's just studies, whatever. I don't have to find it. All right, I think I can get the Guardian without paying. Australia declares coronavirus will become a pandemic as it extends China travel ban. Yum, yum. Domestic preparedness. Right, this is 2 hours ago. There's no need for us to be moving to having mass gatherings of people. Stop. You can go to the football and cricket and play with your friends down the street. All right, so he's telling people not to make, not to assemble in large groups. All right, 22 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Australia. 15 of those cases were contracted in Wuhan in central China or via contact with someone who had been to the city, the epicenter of the outbreak. Another 8 are from passengers who were on board the virus-stricken Diamond Princess cruise ship. So I'm assuming those people were quarantined from the start. The likelihood is somewhere, sometime, there is a further round of cases that may make it to Australia. So it doesn't look like they have lost containment because those people were all from known infected regions, and I'm not hearing anything about them having spread it. See, this is a lot like the San Francisco one where I remember hearing this bad stuff and I remember reading about it, and then I go and check and it's no big whoop. So now Australia is just moving ahead with plans even though they don't have an uncontained issue. So I don't know, everybody here, okay, people are worried about the government, secret government plots and blah, blah, blah. Just remember, this is not the first virus rodeo. There was SARS, there was swine flu, there was bird flu, there was Ebola, there was AIDS. None of those, there was a whole bunch of fear-mongering, and none of those turned out to be a big deal except for AIDS, and even now it's fairly treatable. Second of all of those issues, the government didn't do anything special that we saw. I mean, they didn't change a bunch of medical rules right then or use it as an excuse for anything. There was no martial law. None of that stuff happened. I think that if they really wanted to do it, they could have done it those other 10 viruses ago, and they haven't. So I really don't think it's super likely that this one is now they're finally going to do something. And what would be even point of a martial law? That's why when people say, oh, the government's going to do martial law, why? What benefit would it be to do martial law when everybody is working and paying their taxes and getting kind of choked out on taxes because there's taxes everywhere? If there was martial law, first of all, martial law is expensive. You're going to have all that police force. You're going to have to pay them. You're going to have to feed them. Having us on lockdown, it's going to kill the economy. We're not going to be working. We're not going to be paying our taxes. In America, everybody is being good little doobies and doing their jobs, paying their taxes. So I just can't see any of us why they would want to put us in prison. I mean, we're already locked into the slave system, a very efficient one where we work very hard and give them money. So putting us in prison, martial law, any of that, that's just going to disrupt the gravy train. It's going to ruin the economy. Nobody in the United States is rebelling. People certainly complain a lot, but as far as really doing anything, I don't see it happening. I just don't see, maybe if we got to the point where we were really actually taking up arms and saber rattling for real, but we're not. So I don't see it. I don't see the point to it. That's one of the reasons the martial law thing, I'm like, plus they're going to need the military and the police and all that. And those people are just people. They all have sisters and brothers and girlfriends and stuff. So assuming that they're all going to do as told is, that's also a bit of a stretch. But even if they did, like I said, there's no point to it. We're just not getting straight info from Corona, just tons of conflicting stories, crazy actions. I don't know, it's just, I know a lot of people around the country and the world on the internet. And none of those people know anybody who has it, know anything serious that's going on with it. So, I don't think that there's a super humongous cache of people. I get shipments from China. All my shipments are getting packed. They're getting created at the factory, packed and shipped as normal, in timely fashion. If anything, they're getting it done even faster because economy sucks right there. So there's not a big bunch of people in front of me as much as there usually is. So when I ask for something, boom, they're right on my order. So they're trained to do what they are told. Well, that may be the case, but it's also something I just don't see they could hide. There's going to be some people who are going to blab. Is it just me, or did the German flag change? Darn it, I really didn't know. I think all the flags almost have changed, but I didn't know a lot of them. So a lot of them I'm like, oh no. All right, so did it change? You guys tell me. I don't know. Black, orange, and yellow. I've been super thirsty today. I'm not sure why. It's a little bit hot today, but this is like a super conservative town here, and there's a lot of people ready for martial law around here, and it's kind of overblown because we have a lot of military bases around here, so it's not that uncommon to see 2 or 3 military trucks driving down the road in between one base to another, or somebody's on their way to something. And it's always been that way for 25 years. And now, if somebody around here sees 3 trucks together parked, I'm getting, we have the local social media called nextdoor.com. People are on there. Oh, they're setting up the FEMA camps over here. And, I'm like, no, wait, I drove by there. There's no FEMA camps. There's nothing. No, you don't know. It's going to be FEMA camps. I'm like, there's nothing there. I just drove past there. There's no camps. There's no nothing. Another guy put up one tent so that he could put his backhoe and some other stuff in it. And one of the neighbors said that it was FEMA camps. I'm like, first of all, there's only like 2 acres of land that this guy bought last year. He got a permit to build a house. He's put up one tent and there's a backhoe in it. That's not a FEMA camp. They're not going to put a FEMA camp on 2 acres of mostly unusable land and one tent. It's like, people, let's just stick with the land of the common sense here. I mean, you're not putting up a FEMA camp on a tiny postage stamp of private land, and there's no military there, and there's nothing. I mean, I don't trust the government either, but every truck we see is not the coming FEMA camp. And that's kind of how it's gotten around here with some people. And then I'm like, look, dude, it's just one military truck. And they're like, oh, no, you don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's getting a little out of control. Black, white, and red. Well, I'm in Nepal and I spoke with a Korean monk and she was saying the flights to Korea are being canceled. Yeah, Korea has apparently having some problems with corona, so some places are canceling trip to Korea. That is true from what I've heard anyway. I mean, that's in the news though. It's not a secret. So yeah, Nachiketa, I've heard that on the news that they're canceling flights to Korea. So not a secret. It used to be black, white, and red. Okay, so somebody says it was. Other people are saying it looks the same. I just didn't know it, so I can't. I've definitely seen the Australian flag used to have a big kangaroo for me, hopping. It was kind of cheesy looking, I hate to say, but it did not look anything like it does now. And I have to say, the California flag also is cheesy looking. So there's no offense against Australia. I love the country, and the current flag just looks it's all British. So that one kind of flips me out. But the old one was kind of a cheesy looking kangaroo. Just like California has a cheesy looking bear. German flag has always been black, red, and yellow. People are reacting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that nothing ever happens in the world. It's just, is it going to be a big deal or is it going to be some flights canceled to Korea? I mean, all of the shape of China has changed. I don't even know how much of it's real. Is Wuhan like full of real people or is it just a matrix creation? I've mentioned before that a lot of the new territories show up kind of on radar with some kind of big disaster. Like I've mentioned before that a lot of the far northern California for me was not there. And then recently there were massive fires in that region. Massive. I'm like, that region didn't even exist for me. A lot of islands over by Cuba showed up and then got hit by a massive hurricane and typhoon over there. And they talked about massive damage in these islands. And a lot of us are like, those islands weren't even there before. So that's why this whole China thing, I'm like, Wuhan, I don't know. Was that even, is that even a place where there are real humans? I don't know. I don't know at this point. That's why I don't flip out as much. None of my friends live in Wuhan, and none of them live in any of the other affected areas. And like I said, I do know a lot of places around here, like around the earth now, because of the internet is wonderful that way. And luckily, there's enough people who speak English that, you don't have to know their language. But I don't know what to think. All right, so I mean, I'm not saying I know for sure it's not real, but I'm just not 100% on board that it's all real either. I just wonder if it's just part of the storyline. All right. All right, this is one back to the planes. What is it? Yes, there it is. F117A. Okay. I can't spell. Let's try that again with the right word. All right. Do you guys remember back in like was it like 80? I think it was the 1980, somewhere around there. The stealth bomber. What did it look like? I just saw this version of it about 6 months ago. This version. I saw this and I was like, I thought it was some kind of newer plane actually. I don't remember this nose thing. I do remember the stealth bomber having a lot of angles, but I don't remember it having these bunny ears looking things. And I don't remember it nearly as built up as this. That looks really weird to me. And I thought this was some other plane. My old stealth bomber is gone. It was lower, more angular. It was black. I mean, like really black. All I'm seeing is these dark gray ones now. It used to be pitch black. There's no images really like it. It didn't have all these stickers all over it or whatever these logos are or something. None of them ever had all these logos on it. It was pitch black. Not really showing much, but there's logos and stickers and zib zabs, and it's like a dark gray now. All this funny stuff on the nose here wasn't there. These little jiggity jaggedy things on the snout wasn't there. It was pitch black. It was not nearly this high. It just looks weird. That is not my stealth bomber. And I looked and there is no... Also, I don't remember it way up on these wheels like that. It's like on stilts. It was tiny wheels. These are honkin' wheels. It had little weenie wheels, really. These are some beastie looking wheels. I have to say this timeline has some nice looking wheels on stuff. I think it's a beastie, orderly. You can look like you can have like 10 elephants on these wheels and they'll be fine. My old timeline didn't have that. All right, this color is closer. See, but I didn't have like, what's this thing? All these logos and everything. I can't find any black ones anymore. This stealth bomber has this weird, the nose is kind of like, it's kind of hard to describe. Anyway, the shape is just different. I mean, it's close. Did not have this split thing back here with the bunny ears. See, look up here. They have like, it's got like whiskers or something. It has all that. It's a lot more raked back than it was. It used to be more bird wings out. It's a lot different now. It's just there's still the angles, but I mean, look, no. Oh, here's this where it sticks out kind of here, where it kind of goes. I didn't have that. I don't remember these, whatever these little poobahs are here. Yeah, it's just different. And now they have these big trap doors where the wheels come out. That wasn't there. They had weenie wheels and they didn't have trap doors. So yeah, it's different. It's different. Look there, that is not it. Mine was more, it was lower, and these were more smoothed out, out here more, and then more, it was just a little more graceful looking. It's very choppy. It's very pointy. I mean, it was pointy before, but this under part here with this bit, I think is the part that changed a lot for me. I also don't remember these flap thingies in here. I don't know. There's just a lot. I don't remember it. It's too chunky. Yeah. I'm completely confused because I've never seen these till today. Yeah, earlier today I spent some time looking for my old stealth bomber and I can't find it. So this one, the Nighthawk. I don't really remember these numbers like this. But I always used to call it the stealth bomber when I was growing up. And this is the first stealth bomber that was made, and it's the only one that came to public knowledge around, I think it was like 1980. Like all the rest of them came after, and they look even more different than this one. This one has to be it because this is the only one that was around in the 80, in like around 1980. The others showed up in like late 90s and stuff. Nighthawk stealth fighter. See, I just remember it being the stealth bomber. It was the stealth bomber. And Nighthawk might have been it, but I'm not sure on that. I do know though that this shape is wrong. Look at this red thing. I mean, there's a few black images, but they have the sticker logos all over them. Look at all that crap. They were just pitch black. Always, always. See, look at the outline's all wrong. It looks more like a folded origami. It just doesn't look right. It looks like those whiskers are making me laugh. I don't know if they're supposed to be like little turrets for shooting, or is it some kind of wind thing? But it didn't have it looks like sort of like a weird little animal with whiskers now. So yeah, and see underneath, that was not the outline in the back at all. That was not it. So yeah. Yeah, see, I was flipped out when I first saw it. I was like, oh, it's some new bomber thing. Then I go to find out it's an old. That's what a lot of the MEs, I'm like, oh, it's some new thing. And I realized I'd been seeing it for like months and thinking it was some new thing. Simpler lines, flatter. Newer version, I think, flatter and wider. No, I can't find that old version that I had, the flat version. Way more of a V. Yeah, see, the wings were out more. Now they're like pinched in. The virus doesn't have to be real for people to overreact and hurt each other, just using the depression rumors that caused the stocks to crash, bank runs, suicides. Yeah, but see, history's always changing, and who even knows if that even happened in your timeline? That's the thing. All I can go is by what I see in my own eyes. What I see in my own eyes does not match up with hardly anything on the news. The news says that some animals are going extinct. For me, they're brand new. The news says that there's less and less of those animals, that type of animal every year. For me, there's more and more of that type. So something comes in and, oh, they're nearly extinct. There's only 200 left. Then they're nearly extinct. There's only 2,000 left. Then they're nearly extinct. There's only 20,000 left. Now they're critically endangered. There's only 50,000 left. I can't take that seriously. I'm like, that's backwards. It's totally backwards. So that's why I with this news stuff, I try not to get too sucked in. I'm not totally ignoring it, but so much in the news just turns out to be completely backwards. It's completely backwards. And whatever's true now, it could suddenly not be true. Like for like 3 hours, apparently San Francisco was being overrun with COVID-19 victims, and they thought they were losing containment, and then 3 hours later they have everything under control. So even if something is horrible today, in 3 hours suddenly it can be fine again. And that's the other thing the ME teaches. I came from a timeline where they were convinced that the Arctic cliffs of ice would melt and rise to sea level by 200 feet. Well, the Arctica is gone. The cliff ice is gone. It never even existed. Everybody's like, oh, there's no way to get out of that mess. Yeah, you can just erase the whole problem. The ME just erased it. It's gone. So if it can erase a whole continent of land and cliff ice, then, it shouldn't be a problem for one virus to either turn out not to be that bad or mutate or whatever. I saw the first stealth bomber land in Virginia. That's not it. Black triangle stealth bomber. Yeah, I mean, that's still... It was way more triangular. See, now it looks like more like a... I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a triangle, that's for sure. I mean, the front part is, but yeah, it was very close to a triangle. It's not a newer version. I can't find the old version. They all look like this. This is the F117. It's not... I mean, if there's new versions, they're tiny bits different. The shape is the same. The main structure is not different. You know, this is something you got to really watch out for, because I get this all the time in the ME. People just can't accept that that's an ME, so they just say, oh, it must be a newer version. Oh, it must be this, it must be that. Check it, because you're not going to find that version you think you have in your head. You're not going to find it. So if you're spreading that must be a newer version, no, don't say that until you check, because we get tired of that on Redcon. I mean, I'm catching people all the time going, oh, that's just blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, prove it. And they go back and they can't, because they're wrong. They didn't check. So I'm just saying, before you say that, check it. I spent a fair amount of time looking for my old bomber, and I looked on the wiki and I looked in the histories, and I can't find it. I just see this one. It's always this one. Look more like a flying wing and being angled up while on the wheels. Yeah, and it didn't have those beast wheels either. The shape had more zigzag before. I do not know what that word means. Zigzag. How did they get in it? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. But I didn't know on the old one either. But the old one was a lot lower. I mean, the wheels weren't... I don't know. Maybe they just roll up like a stairways or something. I don't know. The B-2 bomber. That one looks closer to the one I remember. Let's see. B-2 bomber. Yeah, see, that one's also, it's too smooth now, though. Because I do definitely remember the funky planes, like the funky angles, because they were supposed to bounce the radar. Now, this guy looks like it looks like an animal under the water. It's all smooth. Now, if you kind of combine this one with that other one, then you just about have it. But look, that kind of looks like a face submerged underwater. There doesn't have the right angles. B-2 Spirit. I've never even heard of this B-2 Spirit. I've heard of the B-2 Bomber. I've not heard of a B-2 Spirit. So this is the back. And see, that back is... I have not seen that before either. It doesn't have... It's wider like my old stealth bomber. The outlines, but then I didn't have this sudden rectangles here and all that. And this one's very smooth. It looks like a cross between a piece of paper and a submarine. Look at that. I didn't have this, whatever this thing is. You know, I would have to say, if I really had to say that I'm not 100%, but I would say that the B-2 bomber was the stealth bomber, and there may have only been just the one. But I don't think this B-2 bomber here... The trouble is, I always used to call it the stealth bomber. But I don't recognize this one at all. And I'm betting you that I'll find out that it came to pass too late. B-2 Spirit. What's a B-2 Spirit? I've heard of the B-2 Bomber. I've never heard of the B-2 Spirit. Also known as the Stealth Bomber. See, now the Stealth Bomber was the one that came out in like 1980 for me. Okay, let me see when this thing actually came out. Northrop Grumman, that was the manufacturer. All right, during the late 80s and 90s, Congress slashed plans to 132 bombers. All right, so it was there in the 80s and 90s. What confuses me is I only remember there being one stealth bomber, just the one. And it was neither of these things. So that other one I showed you was supposed to be the first one created. My understanding that what they said, I mean, I don't know when they really did, but the stealth bomber of my old timeline was secret for many years, and then they finally outed it. But they said that it was manufactured and designed either like the 60s or the early 70s, but we weren't really sure because it was like a secret. But then they outed it in like about 80 something, and but it had been around a long time before that, supposedly. But you know, you don't know, because you don't know what if the government's telling you the truth or not. But that was the reality I remember. And for many, many, many years, I used to say, well, why is there only one stealth bomber? They've got to have more. They've got to be a secret, blah, blah. But apparently they came out with this thing, which I have not heard of. I've heard of the B-2 bomber, but I've not heard of the B-2 Spirit. See, also known as the stealth bomber. The stealth bomber was just the one, and it had the sharp angles, but not as much angles as that other one. So I'm wondering if these are just, they like split or something, because there was only one for like 20 years that was public, and it was that angular one. So that's why it's kind of flipping me out. I think that the original one might be have split into two different versions here. I thought the swallowbird was mainly black. The B-52 bomber for World War II. Yeah, you know, that was not my era, so I didn't really follow. I've heard of the B-52, but no, it was the B-2 bomber. For sure, there was a B-2 bomber, and it was a stealth, and there was a stealth bomber, and I think they were the same thing. I used to always just call it the stealth bomber, though, and it wasn't this thing. I remember the Hawaiian flag with King Kamehameha on it. What do you remember? I do not remember Hawaii having the UK flag on it. That is for sure. I thought the Nighthawks were helicopters. Yeah, I think they are also. See, that's another thing the ME likes to do, is it gets a new one out and it'll pick a name that is really familiar sounding. Nighthawks. Helicopter. I'm pretty sure they also are a helicopter. MH-60S Nighthawk Seahawk Naval Helicopter. So yeah, see, they are a helicopter. And it would be kind of weird to use the same name twice. But the ME loves that business. I see they have these giant flat rectangle things on the back, like all the helicopters do now. I don't think any of them had that on my old timeline, these giant, whatever the heck that is. I forgot the word for those new things. For some reason, I think I remembered having red and white and maybe two palm trees that curved towards each other. That does sound familiar. I also remember the Air Force admitting its unusual shape was a major flaw. If it spiraled out of control, it wouldn't be able to regain control. I'm not sure on that one. I do remember them saying it was hard to fly. The shape was to bounce the radar, and that was why it was all kind of angular like that. It was to bounce the radar. The Flying Fortress was different from the newer stealth bomber. The Flying Fortress? What the heck is that? I don't even know. The Flying Fortress. It sounds like an anime. The Flying Fortress. Well, already that doesn't look like anything. Well, that doesn't look like anything. It's not even a stealth bomber, is it? Yeah, no. Nope, nope, nope. Whoops, that's not part of the plan. There we go. Okay, so anyways, yeah, no. All right. So I kind of ran into that while I was looking into this one from John Austin. He kind of got me on those things because I started looking at his, and then I found all these other plain ones while I was looking at his. So I'm not sure if I covered this. I actually saw this before I had a YouTube channel, so it might have been already in my old ME thing. But so John Austin mentioned this one, and this is the jet that the Germans had, and it is kind of an older ME for me, but oops, let me find it. Really, is that supposed to be it? Looks even different on there. Let me just look at the images. What the heck? Seriously? Okay. It looks, I swear, it doesn't even look like this a little earlier. All right. So this thing is, this is not, all right. Let me just go this other route. Let's see. This is the one that I saw first. This was a couple years ago. And this kind of got me on the whole stealth. There we go. All right, this is the correct one. All right, so ironically, this looks more like the stealth bomber that we had. And 3 and some years ago when I saw this is the flying wing of the Nazis. Weirdly, there was like only 1 or 2 of them. There wasn't really a complete one. Nobody knew if they ever even flew. They're much better condition here, a little bit different shape. Now, when I saw them a couple years ago, they were black and they didn't have the logos. They were just black. And they were made out of wood. The shape is a little more like how I remember the stealth bomber. They didn't have a word for it, so I guess it's Horton Ho. FSXP3D Horton Ho. There was no name for it. It wasn't all orderly. This image is close to what I saw, but it was all black. It's a partial. They were all black, just like ours. And that was one thing that caused me to look up the stealth bomber 3 years ago, ours, and compare theirs to ours. There's a whole bunch more images of theirs now. And again, it's thinner. The wings are thinner. I remember this one is actually raked out not enough. It needs to be more back like that. Was how it was when I first saw it. All right, let me just, I didn't even check to see if this thing is still, did they operate this in World War II? So these were found, like 3 years ago, they had found one somewhere in Germany, and it was a real question if it had flown or not. Let's just see what the story is now. It didn't have this name, Horton Ho. It sounds like Dr. Seuss made up these names. Horton Ho. German prototype fighter bomber initially designed to be built by Gotthard. Hermann Göring's call for a light bomber. Only jets could provide the seed, but these were extremely fuel hungry, so considerable effort had to be made to meet the range requirement. Based on a flying wing, the Ho lacked all extraneous control surfaces to lower drag. Operational history. Unpowered glider, followed in 1944 by the Junkers Jumo, powered second prototype, displayed good handling capabilities. Disaster struck during the third test flight. Ziller took off without any problems. During the final stages of the war, U.S. military initiated Operation Paperclip, an effort to capture the German weapons research, blah, blah, blah. So it sounds like they're saying that we invaded before they could do much with it. Now, what I remember was that this was, at first, the only jet thing that I saw. And then they said that that Nazis had other jets, but we didn't. So I don't know. I guess I'm trying to say this one's changed. The Nazis had jets. Now the Allied had a jet. So that's Horton Ho. Now what was that one that he found? This one is really weird. Heinkel He. Instead of the Horton Ho, it's the. I'm probably saying it wrong, but so this was a. Okay, I looked it up once already. This was a jet that the Germans had, and they did fly it, and it looks ridiculous. I've never seen this before today. John Austin found it. But the weird thing about this one, it was made mostly of wood. So apparently it had this jet engine made of wood that they built because they were low on aluminum and stuff. It looks more like a rocket than a jet, but these dorky little flap things in the back that this timeline loves. It looks like some goofy kid's toy, but apparently they flew this thing and they did do a little bit of fighting with it. Anyway, that thing is ridiculous. Maybe I should have put that one up. I don't know. I mean, I do remember them having jets, but it wasn't with this giant pod creature on the back. That was when I first heard that they had jets. It wasn't this thing. All right, I think I got all the weird jets now. Kamikaze plane was almost 100% made of wood. Really? No. Bamboo? No. Not in my timeline they weren't. Nope. It was not bamboo. This timeline likes their alternate building supplies, apparently. B-52 bomber. Yeah, no, I remember it as the B-2 bomber as the stealth bomber. The B-52 bomber was a earlier war plane. Germans didn't have this thing before, never. And it's totally weird looking. Like you would totally remember it because it looks like a kid's toy. I mean, really, okay, this is a kid's toy here. And then when you look at the real thing, it still looks like a kid's toy. I mean, like, come on. Does that look real to you? This does not look right at all. They have some nice big fat tires on there. It's not as good as the stealth bomber, but this timeline has nice juicy fat tires. No more of those. You know, one of the things about planes, I used to see the tires and I always just feel like they were going to land and those tires are just going to go and break off because they always look so flimsy. This timeline does not have the little weenie tires. B-21. B-21 bomber. Raider is a proposed American heavy bomber under development by Northrop Grumman as part of the long-range strike. All right, so this hasn't even been built yet, so I sure as heck didn't see it in the 80s. Not possible. It's not even built yet, so it wasn't out and fighting in the Desert Storm, because I do remember the stealth bomber fighting in the Desert Storm. I was kind of thinking, oh, finally they're putting it to actual normal use. Okay, so B-21 is not built, just proposed. Let me see some pictures of it. I think it's still, I want to say there's too many rectangles on it. Oh, okay, so that was B-21 bomber. Okay, B-21 Raider is different from B-21 Bomber. How is that smart? All right, let me look up. So Bomber is different than Raider. Why would you name it the same thing? That would have to cause confusion. All right, so I need it to be the Bomber. B-21 Bomber is the coolest plane we've never seen. Finally releases new images. Okay, so that second one we saw was... What is this, like an artist rendering? That's not helpful. I don't know, what a mess. All right, so we don't really get to see it because it's just an artist rendering. Nope, not much info there. All right, I'm going to give up on that one. All right, so I got only like 2 left, I think. Hairs. I don't think I've covered specifically. I've definitely covered a lot of weird animals that were vegetarian, starting to, like, horses eating mice. Also, I saw one, and this is also from John Austin. He brought this one up, and he also showed another one where this rabbit chases down a pretty big bird and chomps on it, like gets it. So it's not just like little tiny meese anymore. It chased this pretty big bird and ate it. So it was like a predator, this rabbit. Okay, so apparently now they found video that snowshoe hares basically eat meat all during the winter. They're feasting on carcasses and this and that. Carnivorous bunny rabbits live through the American Northwest. I mean, this is a very common... So they're saying that, like, in the winter, they basically eat meat. I don't know. There's not much grass or something is the story. All right, here's the snowshoe rabbit. When I saw this, I don't remember 2 black spots on the top. They were white. They did not have 2 black tips on their ears. That's an ME for sure. Let's see if I can find them. So there's images in here of them. So this is this rabbit wailing on this carcass, scavenging animal carcasses. So he's just like chomping down. They didn't used to touch carcasses, but now they pretty much eat them. Here he's eating small birds and small fish. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so basically the storyline now is they eat meat all through the winter. There was another video that showed a rabbit sitting on a field of grass, yomping on a carcass too, though. And this one kind of implies that they don't have other food sources, so they eat meat. But that other one, I mean, there's a field of grass right there, and he's eating the meat. He could eat the grass, but no, he's eating the meat. So, yeah, rabbits are getting... Plus, they do that weird fighting thing on their feet where they sit on their back feet and go like this, which looks totally ridiculous. So, I don't know, rabbits are changing a lot. The other thing they're not doing that they used to do for so many years is when I was driving, they would flip out and run under the car. You'd think that if you get scared, you'd run away from the attacker, but I would run over like one of them a year because they were stupid and they would just shoot under the car. You couldn't even stomp on the brakes that fast. It's been about 3-4 years since I've run one over, and none of them... I would run one over and I'd miss like 5 or 6 because sometimes I could stop or, stomp on the brakes. If nobody was behind me, I could stomp on the brakes. So a lot of times I would manage to not hit them. I haven't even had to try to not hit a rabbit in years because they don't run into the car anymore. They used to flip out and run into the car. Now they flip out and they run away from the car like, two brain cells. So they're not as dumb anymore, or at least they're not as suicidal as they once were. So, rabbits. Yeah, okay, I think I got that one. Oh, there's one more. I think this is one of the ones that John Austin also had brought up. What the heck is this thing? I really need to go through this video more, but... So apparently these are all like jet aircraft. I don't want to actually play the video because I'll get in trouble. I've never seen this thing. Check out this video. I've never seen any of these planes before. I don't know what any of this stuff is. What is that? I don't know if did they make that or is it just a concept? But anyway, there's not one thing on here I've seen before, even once. Not that thing. Looks like a submarine. Jet aircraft of World War II. So the Soviet had them too. Oh, interesting. The Soviets had them. I'm going to have to do a quick video, quick check on that. Soviet. Okay, one more try. Soviet. World War II. Images. Okay, so the Soviets had jets. Looks like. World War II Soviet aircraft, 1939 to 1945. That's a weird looking thing. Did they actually make that? Gosh, these are just the weirdest looking things. Monsu Key 98 ground attack, high altitude. The Seoul prototype. Okay. I probably wouldn't have seen it. First generation jet fighter. Well, anyway, apparently they did have jets from what I can see. Right. Let's try that. Seems to pull up more stuff. List of jet aircraft of World War II. Let's see. By the end of the conflict, Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States all had operational turbojet-powered fighter aircraft, while Japan had produced but not used motorjet-powered kamikaze aircraft. Italy and the Soviet Union had both tested motorjet aircraft, which had turbines powered by piston engines and blah, 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 ramjet engines. This list only includes aircraft powered by turbine engines. All right, anyway, it looks like there's quite a pile of them. Engine testbed and first Allied jet to fly was Gloucester. That I've covered. Okay, and then the Germans had that Heinkel, which was mostly made out of wood. P-80 Shooting Star, January 1944. First operational American jet fighter, single-engined, low-winged, forward-deployed. So Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star was ours from 1944. Yeah, I don't recognize that thing. All right, so there's the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star. Delivered just 143 days from the start of the design process. 2 pre-production models did see very limited service in Italy just before the end of the war. So we did sneak in an American one, and that's this P-80F F-80 Shooting Star. See if I can make that big. Probably not. No. All right, so we'll see how that story changes. So only 2 of our jets made it at the tail end of the war. Currently, I bet you that will change to be more. This is the plane. It looks pretty weird. Look at the it's like, did they really have the jets like the engines are like, it looks like they're glued to the tips. It's pretty weird looking. It looks like an afterthought that they glued it on. That is a weird looking plane. Yeah, it's not something you'd forget about if you ever saw. It looks like little balloons on the end of the... I don't know. All right. I don't know. All right, let me look and see. I think I've only got one left. Got you. I think I got most of this. All right. I'm going to end on this funny one. This one might get me to lose my... All right, I think we had the cows the other day. Saw this on Reddit. Supposedly it's been around since 2015. I don't think so. Just saw the cows not too long ago. So pangolins, which are an Emmy for me, apparently now have woman parts. Now last week I just mentioned how I had never seen all that skin on the underside of a pangolin. Now these guys are supposedly one of the vectors that help transmit the COVID-19 virus. They did not exist in my original timeline. Then they showed up and they were tiny. Now they're big. Looked like anteaters, sort of. Last week, I suddenly saw that you could see all this fleshy part, but you didn't see these. So now they have... I don't know. I say it out loud, I'll probably lose my... Let's just say the internet won't like it. But anyways, you just have to laugh. I don't know what to say. I mean, usually animals have like multiple children, so they have like lines of these. They don't just have 2 like a person, and it just looks wrong. I wonder if I can... Last I checked, there was only that one image too, which I thought was weird. I'm betting, yeah, see, it's just that one image. See, it's just the first time I saw this underside of them last week. So now we see more underside. See, they have this pink. I wasn't seeing this pink before this. The other thing I don't remember is this funky ear thing. I totally don't remember seeing baby pangolin. What are the adults? Do they have these giant ears now? Huh. Yeah, look. This is the image I saw last week, and I'm like, what the... With all this stomach material. I have not seen that. All right, so, look. Look, they have these big funky ears now. They're like people ears. That's weird. Look at that. They did not have people ears before. Look at that. That's totally... Their eyes are all kind of bulgy outy now, too. The face has changed a lot on these things. They did not have people ears before. Not to mention the other parts. Huh. Yeah, the face. That's not the face. Look at the nose. Looks like a dog nose. Weird. Huh. That's weird. All right. So anyways, I call an Emmy on that. Whatever. Dr. Seuss made that. Yeah, I think maybe did Dr. Seuss die and go up to heaven and then just start making up stuff for the reality? Because a lot of stuff like sounds like him in this place. Especially these planes. They all have goofy sounding names. Horton hears a who. Yeah, hey, hoo ha hoo. That's all the new plane names. Anybody seen the new Quantum Businessman video? No. What was it about? STS Aquatics is hitting it. Yeah, I'm gonna be hitting it soon. Yeah, that hair plane from Germany is made mostly of wood. It was a jet plane made mostly of wood. I'm sure the engine wasn't wood, but I just don't think it would hold up to the shear forces in the old timeline. But because they were almost out of metal because of the war, so they made it out of wood. That's the story anyway. First elephants and now pangolins. Yep. Well, now that I've done it, let's see. I don't know if I can find that image from last time. No, it wasn't cows. It was elephants. That was it. Elephants. I'm kind of spaced out today, unfortunately. And battling, my computer went down. There it is. My computer's been down for 2 days. I've been trying to fix it. Yeah, these are weird. There's a lot more images of it now. A lot more than that last time. The last time I looked, there was just like one image. See, look, I typed in elephants, but this pangolin came up anyway. I wasn't even looking for you, dude. They're not. The Emmy wants me to see. Ugh, too small. Yeah, elephants. Ugh, I'm going to just expand it this way. There, now you can see. Dong. So yeah, no, that wasn't in my old timeline. So I call no. Of course, cows have boobs, but... They created the virus. They're saying that they weren't the source of the virus, but they do spread it. Yeah, pangolins, they look like armadillos. That they're kind of a new timeline thing. So they're supposed to be the most trafficked animal in the world. Wanted by China for their, I don't know, medicine, you know. That's like a favorite thing. I don't know. Every time some new weird, creepy animal comes into stock, into reality, apparently the Chinese want it for some weird medicine thing. Is that a thing? Yeah, and the birds make milk. Look that one up. That'll keep you busy. Even now, you're definitely demonetized. Yeah, I'm gonna go check it. Hold on. Let me shut down Google Earth before it crashes my system. Let me see if I can remember where that was now. Info and settings. Oh, it's only 2 hours. I got to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going to cut out of here really sick. See, monetization. I don't know if they're going to let me go on this one, but I'll try requesting manual review. See, technically, if it's for educational purposes, you're supposed to be able to talk about that stuff. And it's just animals. So hopefully it will be allowed. All right, so it should now. Not receiving data. What did I freeze up? Review requested. They've actually been reviewing it before 1,000 views, so I don't know what's up with that. Hippos have boobs. I don't even know what animal's going to show up next. I don't really think I want to just keep checking for that either. If it shows up, I'm not hunting for that. It's just not my cup of tea. I already look for countries without ice. That's my cup of tea right there. A lot of things people see have always been that way for me, except for Tom Cruise's pink striped shirt and Risky Business, Lion and Lamb. Yeah, the Tom Cruise thing is a trip, and then they came out with that new commercial that shows the new version. Roaches make milk. Yeah, cockroaches. Cockroach milk is supposed to be the new superfood. We had that on a while ago, but if in case anybody missed it. See, I'm telling you, Dr. Seuss is making this stuff up. Cockroach milk is superfood. Roach milk forms tiny crystals after being digested, and these crystallized milk particles are loaded with nutrients. It has 3 times more calories than buffalo milk. Yes, you definitely want the cockroach milk. Yum. It's been a long time since we had the bird milk. I wonder if a bird milk is a superfood. Bird milk superfood. Nope. It just talks about how pigeons make milk, but it's not. I guess pigeon milk is not the new superfood. It's just ordinary food. Superfood or poison? Yeah, I don't even know myself anymore. Roaches eat garbage. How's that healthy? I don't know. Don't ask me. They're omnivores. What can I say? I passed the 3 hours mark. You're right. I did pass the 3 hours mark. Oops. Oh, well. Hippos are omnivores with pointy teeth. Yes, and camels. Camels are total omnivores. Soylent Green is the superfood of the future. Yeah. Who the heck knows? All right. Anyways, I got to run because I got to go to the computer repairs appointment tomorrow and see if they can salvage my... I don't know. Suddenly, this boot software got all corrupted. I'm pretty sure it's software. Who knows what causes that, but I think the computer's actually fine, but that, and it wasn't a super cheap one, so I'm going to try to get it fixed. I think I need to go here. Anyway, my brain's conking out. I've been trying to fix that stupid computer. I learned a ton about computers and repair, but I haven't gotten that thing fixed. I learned like 10 different ways I might be able to repair it. Wait, I thought they only ate veggies. Talking about hippos? Yeah, they used to only eat veggies, but now they eat like alligators. And veggies, because they're omnivores. Yeah, I know. Everybody thought they ate veggies, because that's what they used to eat. But no more. Now they like carcasses and all kinds of grossness. And they eat other dead hippos. They're actually pretty gross. They're getting meaner and meaner, too. All right. Time for me to hit it. Stop talking. So, think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.